Audience research. Audience research is research gathered by communicating with the audience and gathering facts about their demographics, media habits, interests, knowledge and behavior. The purpose of audience research is to know your target audience and to find out what their interests, age category, ethnicity, gender and dislikes are. By getting as much research about your target audience, you will have a more understanding of what they are interested in and you can base your product around them. For example, you can use audience research in different projects such as making a music video, which is what I had done. And this consisted of finding out information about your audience, the age of the audience, the interests, their ethnicity, music type and gender. This information helped me find out my chosen target audience. Audience data. Audience data is data collected about the audience. This data can be from how many views a program receives to what the audience is most interested in watching. This data is usually shown in figures, which shows some type of statistics about the audience. To research audience data, you would search it primarily, and this is the most reliable way to get the information. Also, you know the information is up to date. You could use secondary research from sources like the internet or books, but this information could be outdated and this information needs to be fresh and new in order to get up-to-date statistics. Different techniques would be surveys, focus groups and polls, which are also quick techniques but may cost. The purpose of audience data is to find out information about the audience. For example, what time of day is the most popular to watch TV, what programs are popular, program viewings, etc. I've used audience data before in a project where I was creating a documentary, and during the planning I had to find out information about different programs and how many viewings they receive. Audience profiling. Audience profiling is research about the audience, information which defines your audience. This type of information is the audience's age, their interests, educational background, and sex. This helps you know what type of audience to aim at and is easier to target with the research you have. This information could be secondary research, as this is information which has already been researched, and primary research would cost more to find out this information. The resources you would use could be the internet or certain articles. The purpose of audience profiling is to narrow down your target audience. It defines your audience and can help you aim at your target audience. I have used audience profiling before in a project where I am a partner with creating a music video. This consisted of finding out information about the audience for this video, which helped find out information and I had more of an understanding of what my audience were interested in and what they weren't. Demographics. Demographics is information used in media to classify a type of audience into categories such as age, race, etc. It is used to see what type of audience and potential audiences, also to see where you are underperforming. It breaks the audience and population into groups. To research demographics, you would use primary research, as this information is collected by you and is reliable information. The purpose of this is to see the potential audience you can fit in your target audience. It is a way to increase your audience. If I were to create an advertisement for a product, this type of research would help me target a potential audience, which will increase the product sales through the advertisement. Geodemographics. Geodemographics is a study about a study and grouping of people in a geographical area. This research is used to see if an audience can fit in a group depending on their location. This would be research primarily using polls, surveys. You can also use secondary research, as this information may have been researched before depending what the audience is for. The purpose of geodemographics is to see if you can increase your audience in a different location to your target audience location. I will use this research in my project for advertisement to research different groups which could be a potential audience. Consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is research of how, when, why, where and what people buy. It is information to see how a consumer behaves and what methods make them buy certain things. To research this, you could use secondary research from the internet, but primary research is best, as you can use interviews and focus groups to get a more detailed answer. This information would be qualitative, as you can get different answers from the public. The purpose of consumer behavior is to find out information about your audience and what interests them and persuades them, so you can have a more specific target audience, and you can use different methods to attract your audience. This will help me when I'm doing my project for advertising, as I can use certain methods which will get my message across to the audience, and from research I could use certain techniques which will persuade them to buy what I am selling. Consumer attitudes. Consumer attitudes is how people feel about anything, from products, services, entity, people, place or thing. The attitude can affect the marketing of that thing. Marketers try to influence consumers into changing their attitude. To research this, you would use primary research, as you need to find information about consumers' behavior. This can be done through interviews, focus groups, and surveys. It can also be done through secondary research, as this information has been researched before. This would also be qualitative information, as it can be detailed, as there is more than one answer. This would help in a media project, as it is a way to persuade the consumer and change their attitude into liking a product. If it was used in my media project, it would be useful, as the way I market it depends on how the audience will act upon it. Audience awareness. Audience awareness is how aware the audience is of the situation. It's how aware they are of, for example, a product which is being marketed. You can research this by checking statistics of how many people are aware of your product through a survey, and this would be primary research. This would also be qualitative, as there is more than one answer and can be detailed. The purpose of audience awareness is to make the audience aware of what you are trying to promote or advertise. Market research. Market research is information gathered and analysed about a market, product, anything. This is research for gaining information about competitors, customer interests, spending habits, location, needs, and advertising. The purpose of this is to gather information about consumers. It is also to have the upper hand over competitors. This can be used in my project, as you need to know what similar products have done and match them. Also find information about consumers to target them. Product market. Product marketing is how you market and advertise a product. These consist of product pricing, place, promotion, physical environment, and process of people. Product marketing deals with marketing the product to prospects, consumers, and others. To research this, you would use primary and secondary research, as this consists of searching other competitors. The purpose of product marketing is to market and advertise a product and make it popular, to get people to buy the product, and this would be used in my project to build and populate the product I am advertising. Competition. Competition is rivalry between companies, sellers, or people who try to seek what others are at the same time. Competition is when you want to win and be on top, to sell more and to be known. To research competition, you would use primary research. You would do this by market research and analyze your competitors in how they sell and the methods they use. Also, you could use secondary research to find out your competitor's background by using the internet. The purpose of competition is so you know who you're up against and competing with, and what you must be aware of. The competition in this media project would be other products which are trying to advertise their product. I would use this if I were to advertise a product I am promoting, to find out the competition and what company is at the top and see what methods they are using. Competitor analysis. Competitor analysis is when analyzing and evaluating outside competitions. When analyzing the competition, you look at their strengths and weaknesses, and you can improve and be better than them at this. This type of research would be primary research, as you are finding out information about the competitor which has to be new information. This is why it cannot be secondary research. You can research this by following the competition through industry blogs, read tweets and follow the competitors on Twitter, and investigate website traffic, giving you an idea of how many views they get. The purpose of competitor analysis is having the upper hand on knowledge over your competitor, to improve and become better than them. I will use this when promoting the product I am advertising to outsell other competitors. Advertising placement. Advertising placement is how and where you advertise a product. The placement is important as this affects your target audience. For example, you are advertising a product which is aimed at city workers. It would be ideal to advertise near buildings in the city and possibly across the main subways. You would research this by using secondary research, for example, information from the internet, which are from reliable sources. You could get information about places to advertise depending on what you're advertising. Primary research would give more reliable answers, and secondary research could be outdated. This would be qualitative, as this can be detailed about various locations and can advertise for a specific product or service. And it would be quantitative, as this information can be in depth. The purpose of advertising placement is to make your audience aware of what you are advertising. The purpose is to promote a product or service which tells the audience a bit about it and making sure they're aware. Advertising effects. Advertising effects is the result you get back from your advertising methods. Advertising effects is what you see once the advertisement is in progress. It would be researched using primary research, as this you would need to see and record yourself to see the effect. You can see the effect from stats and data you receive about how products you have sold. The purpose of advertising effects is to see if your advertising methods are working, to get statistics back, and to see if your advertisement has made an effect on your target audience. Production research. Production research is information obtained about the production and the production information. This is from the filming costs, location, finance, content. The purpose of production research is so you know what you are doing, a plan and a guide which can help your production. Content. Content is information, images which may be provided to an end user. Content tells the end user what they need to know, and it can be shown through the internet, TV, newspapers, and books. To research content, you would use secondary research as it's information you are looking for. This can be done through focus groups and through the internet. It can also be qualitative and quantitative research. The purpose of content is to inform the end user and provide them with the information they are looking for. Viability. Viability is something which is measured and its ability to have sustainable profits over a period of time. The longer that thing stays profitable, the better its viability. It is the growth in a product and the stages. To research viability, you would use secondary research to find out the stages a product goes through. You could use primary research such as physically going to a place where the product is developed, but this would cost and is also time consuming. The purpose of viability is to know the stages your product goes through. This you need to know so you can see the process. Placement media. Media placement is the types of media used to promote a product or business. This could be defined as advertising as products that they are advertised to become known. To research this, you would use secondary research to find out different ways to promote a product. But you would use primary research itself to promote the product. The purpose of this is to know the different types of media you can use to promote a product or business. Finance. Finance is management of money and how you control money. Finance can be researched through primary resources. You would have to find out the costs of things before you spend. The purpose of finance in media is to control the production and use it wisely with the tasks you must carry out. I have had to use finance in one of my previous media projects when I was creating a documentary, and this consisted of me to find out prices of the equipment I needed with the budget I had. Costs. Cost is the amount for multiple things you buy. The costs relate to finance as you have to manage your money. This would be primary research as you have to look for the costs of things and have to compare it with your finance. The purpose of costs affects your finance, so you will need to check the costs to see if you have enough money depending on your budget. Technological resources. Technological resources is what you need to get a job done. The 7 standards of resources for technology are people, information, materials, tools, energy, capital, and time. This would be secondary research if you are unsure what you need to complete your tasks. The purpose of this is so you know what you need to complete your task. For example, I would need to know what software I need to use to edit my footage. Personnel. Personnel is people employed under an organization. It is people who are working under you. Personnel can be researched through primary research as you will be finding the people who are working for you. The purpose of this is so you know who is working for you and what job role they will carry. Location. Location in production research is the location you'll be filming at. This usually requires permission to film in certain areas. To research, you would most likely use secondary, depending where it is. If it is far, you would need to research by internet, but if it's relatively close, you can primarily research by visiting the location. The purpose of location is to have permission before you film.